Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, we're back working on the Terra Conqueror. Yes, we've restored all the chassis, and in this video we're painting up the body and then calling it done. Now, if you haven't noticed already, this video is in 4K. I finally got my act together and I can now edit in 4K. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, whether you want to see this in high resolution, but we'll go with it anyway. Right, do you want to see how far I got? Actually turned into a bit of a nightmare. That rear spoiler, I kind of messed it up and I almost ruined it, but I managed to figure it out in the end. So stay tuned to find out what I did. Hit it, Charlie! So yes, after the best part of 2 years, I finally have a finished Terra Conqueror that's going to go into my collection. Yeah, it's been a long road and quite an expensive one, but I finally have one at the level that I'm happy with, but it almost went out the window. And the reason is this body is actually a vintage body, so it started to go a bit yellow. Plus, when they're old, they've been around a lot, oil gets into the plastics and stuff like that, and I had such a nightmare getting rid of the reaction. I cleaned it again, and then when I started painting it, I was getting like oil reactions with it, so I cleaned it again. Then I used Tamiya polycarbonate cleaner to give it a good wipe over. Also, these old vintage bodies don't have the film over the top as well. So when you're painting it up, you've got to go back and you've got to clean off all the overspray. So it just took ages. Now, there's a few tips I can give you if you're going to be doing one of these. And the first one is to do with the orange and the white. This little black decal line is actually quite precise, so be very careful. I almost screwed it up myself. I didn't think it was as precise as it is, but you see where it comes here and it goes over, it's very narrow. You got to get it right. Now, what I should have done, which I didn't, is actually cut out the decal first, lay it up on the outside, not stick it on, but lay it up, and then with a pen put in where I think the line's going to be, and then put the decal over the top. See, it covers it. Check it a few times, adjust the line if you want to, and that way when you do the masking on the inside, you actually know you're going to get it right. Because I almost made a mistake and you was going to see orange on this side. So definitely that's one to be careful of. Also, when you're putting your decals on, getting the window masks to line up with this black bit with also being over the front is difficult. The window masks are fractionally too short. I don't know whether that's because they're vintage ones and they've shrunk a little bit and changed a bit. So I would like to have had these front windows further forward. But I needed to cover over this black line here, because when I stuck this black on here to actually line up at the front here to cover my slight mistakes, it really limited me where I could actually start the sticker. So I had to have the window mask back to cover this line between the two here. So it all connects up. So it looks pretty simple, but you've got to be really careful, because this black sticker dictates a lot. So just be mindful. Another one that I thought was going to be really difficult, but actually wasn't, is these two on the front here. These are individual. And you basically line them up around the front, and then they will go down quite nicely. And being that you've got this edge curve at the front and also in the inside, they're a lot easier than some bodies. It's very flat across the front and you've got to put a decal right in the middle, and it's really difficult. These two, not that much of a problem. Apart from that, the rest of the decals go on really easy, so I didn't have any problem, and there isn't that many decals. One thing that's nice is the Terra Conqueror logo does kind of hide a few sins. When I painted the back bit here, this bit black, you're supposed to do it all the way to the top, but it's actually like a little window at the back. So I thought what I would do is leave it white and then I'll turn it into a window. But I haven't, I've just left it white. So in hindsight, yes, I probably would have done it black to match. There you go, you know, we all make mistakes. Also, when you're doing your lining for the black, the two on the sides have to be bang on. The one that's on the bottom is covered by a sticker, so that's not too much of a problem, but you've got nowhere to hide on these side ones, so be very careful. They're kind of inside this sort of air scoop part, whatever you want to call it. So it's not that easy, but spend a bit more time because it really will show if you mess it up. The biggest disaster out of all of that was the rear spoiler. Now what happened was I painted the rear spoiler white, and the way that this spoiler is here, it's really difficult to get the white up inside the spoiler sides. Then I wanted to back the whole car in gunmetal grey like I do for most of mine. Probably not worth it on this body, to be honest with you, because you've got the white. Really, you've got to back it in, say, silver. And you can see where this is going. What happened was I thought I laid down enough white. I backed it in gunmetal, and on the insides, on both sides, you could see through the white paint, and it was all blobby. Even though I can pull out the rear spoiler and spray into it, you can never get it even enough. So I do not recommend doing that. So my plan to fix that problem was to actually spray some of this paint, orange paint, on the sides. I knew that the stickers go on the sides, but I thought if I spray over, I can actually cover up where you can see all the runs. That turned into be an absolute nightmare, as getting this line straight didn't work. Then it chipped off, and then I had to paint it again, and I really started to mess up. Everything I was doing was making the problem worse. So I stopped, put it down. I came back to it the next day, and then I cleaned it up as best I can. So it's fine now. It's not quite as sharp as I'd like it, but it's good enough. Also, one thing I do like is that when you put the sticker on the side, it does look more uniform to actually roll over. I do actually like that, but I wouldn't recommend it. So spray it white, don't back it, just put the stickers on and leave it, because that probably took me longer to fix and faff around with than it did to do this body. But all in all, I think it came out really nice. Another thing that's a bit of a mistake is I've put too softer oil in the shocks. So I have been umming and ahhing about putting some high cap shocks on, but I honestly don't know. The black's quite nice. If I could get some vintage high cap shocks, I probably would. I do have some VQS shocks that would fit on this, so maybe, maybe not. Being that they're new, I don't think so. I'll try and see if I can get some vintage high caps. But apart from that, it all came together really nicely, and I can highly recommend it. It's quite vivid. This orange colour's very bright, but it's very unique and very different. So there you go. What a pain in the backside, but it's done, and I've restored and saved another vintage Tamiya. Now we move on to the next project. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.